be done to ensure a safe landing for your generation? Let's take it on a personal level first.
I would just say adequate mental health services at the minute, because the HSE like is overrun with all of the mental health with like the child and teenage ones. Like I know that there's like some, especially in Cork and Kerry, they've been waiting for over a year, like since last year, to get seen, which is horrific. Like especially when you're at a crisis point.
Sure.
And also like Jigsaw and all these leading charities, there's like a 16-week waiting list, which is just like way too long, like to be seen. So I just think that that's such a huge thing going forward that we need, especially with like the rise in mental health issues. Like we need that as a society going forward. So that would be the main thing.
And it strikes me, having come from 30 years of leadership in education, it strikes me that as a country, we're too dependent on charity status. It takes somebody with a bit of guts to get up and try and get something moving. And that's the only way things seem to get done at times. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Like I think that too. Like, like I never even considered, I don't think, going through the HSE for like mental support. Like whenever I needed, like I reached out to these charities first because like I was seeing such horrible like statistics and stuff in the news about like how backed up things were, and I just like that all goes back into the healthcare system in general. Like we need to have a universal healthcare system, and it's taking too long for slanted care to come in.
Sure.
So I do think that the whole healthcare system in general.
And they're rising the number of suicides, particularly since March 2020, that are not referenced at all. I've come to a point where I think they should be put up alongside COVID deaths on the news bulletins in the evenings. Yeah. But, to just show the human cost of all of this. Yeah.
That's the thing too, because I think that like there's no numbers about that, and when's that going to come out? After, when it's too late? Like when are we going to get those numbers? Because it's definitely happening. It's definitely hurting people. Like it's going on. Why aren't we hearing about that?
Yeah, and you get massive figures. It goes in waves, and all of these people were somebody's sons or daughters. Absolutely. All of these people reached a point of where they said, "Look, I'm out of here." Yeah. And that is a cause for worry that's not been addressed in the media or on an official level, which I find very worrying,
Yeah.
So I asked you that on personal levels. Now, what must be done to ensure a safe landing for your generation on education levels? Like the education system you went through was rather traditional. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's fit for purpose going forward? Considering the new world you're entering.
Well, I would go to secondary first and start there with a complete and total review, because the way things are just taught in secondary, I think, is really archaic and not as progressive and liberal as I think things should be. Like especially like there's not enough like personal development modules. I don't think like this like the SPHE that's taught is almost laughable. Like it is not, like it's so dated and so old that it's just not relevant anymore. I think that there should be more choice with your subjects, more hybrids between your subjects. I think that the Leaving Cert is an unnecessary mammoth giant examination process that is just so unnecessary and could be done in like a continuous assessment sort of way. And languages also need to be like refreshed and constantly revised and updated.
So I suppose when you were going through the education system, there were several subjects or modules that you had to learn in order to get through, but that you will never use. Yeah. And then you were assessed on them. And I think maybe the Leaving Cert for Ireland is unfair in terms of being nearly like a value judgment on the person. So if you do well, you're wonderful. If you have 600 points, you're brilliant. Yeah. And you're celebrated on the media. But what about the one who got 250 points and that was a real effort for them? That should equally be celebrated. But I suppose the assessment model, that's one thing that's coming out of this COVID, is that whole area is going to have to be looked at and will be looked at, and has changed really forevermore now.
Yeah. But especially like, when you go into first year of school, all there's well into your whole 5 years or your 6 years is, Leaving cert, leaving cert, leaving cert, leaving cert. So, it's this huge big thing that you think is going to define your life forever. But, certainly, like, does in one sense that they make it out to be, but it doesn't. Like, you're still open to a world of opportunity that you can do. But, like, we always thought that was such a given and such a solid. But, like, now it's been taken away just like that. And there's a provisional grade system in place. Why none of this was even thought about before? It was just, no, can't do it. Now, all of a sudden, you have the choice this year,
So we've skipped loads of arguments.
Yeah.
Loads of threats of strike action and everything else by being catapulted in maybe 50 years, 100 years hence in terms of thinking, in terms of openness. Yeah. So maybe that is an upside in ways in that our hand is being forced.
Yeah, it's an upside because it shows you how quick things can change if we want them to.
If we want them to. Whereas the system as such tends to go at snail's pace, but this didn't. And everybody put their shoulder to the wheel and rose to the challenge. Even if, could you imagine if you were in a secondary school pupil now and you suddenly found yourself connecting in with your teacher online and continuing your studies? That was unheard of when you were going through school.
Oh, crazy. Like, I just couldn't imagine that happening when I was in school.
Yeah, so I think blended is the way forward, where you would have the happy medium of face-to-face and that communication, etc., but then have the beauty of doing your modules, maybe some of them online, etc. as well. Yeah, but then on societal levels, if you look at the whole thing, what must be done to ensure a safe landing for your generation on societal levels? We've looked at the personal, we've looked at the education. In terms of society, in terms of how you find your place in society?
I would say opportunity. We all want to excel. We all want to do the best we can. So I just want that chance to be there for all of us and equally. So that's what I would say. And like Ireland is not a pioneer in any sense of the word. Like, it doesn't have these large scale projects and the sciences like that any other country does. Like, it doesn't. It's like other companies are leading the way and we're kind of falling behind. And I just think that if there was larger investments in infrastructure, blah blah, research centers, innovative ways of thinking, that we could be up there with the rest of them, and we have the workforce and the intelligence and the charisma to do it. So I just like the chance to be able to do that in our own country.
We need to move forward and keep going at the pace that was foisted on us a year ago, and just move forward to compete on a level with other countries.